I set it down on the window, and I walked up 1 block, and I'd say, oh shit, and I turned around and it was gone. I was like, fuck, man. I would have paid $50 to whoever had it just to get it back. It wasn't even an expensive phone. It was just the information on it, and
that's the streets.
Yeah, fuck, man.
So Billy, this is my second time talking with you. You were a fentanyl addict for how long?
Fentanyl, probably about 7 years, but I've been a drug addict for 20. It just, everything progressed with time, with fentanyl being the end result. But I'm actually clean off of fentanyl now for 4 months.
You ended up in jail.
Yeah, I detoxed in jail, and they actually detoxed me pretty good. I was kind of scared, and but it was pretty smooth. They just knocked me out for a couple of days, and the symptoms went away. And
how horrible was it?
Well, I've detoxed before, like, it's fucking embarrassing, but I had to actually go to the hospital because I was on my way to go get some, and I got lost, and I was in Chinatown somewhere, and I was like, fuck, man, I don't know how I'm gonna get my shit. And I was already getting sick, and I went to go take a piss, and like, this just makes your guts come from the inside out. And I went to take a piss, and I fucking shit myself. I was like, oh my God. So I called an ambulance to take me to the hospital and detox me because I couldn't walk around like that. And that was just a fucking horrible experience. But I was weak. I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything, man. And it just felt like my brain was just mush. And then finally when, they gave me Suboxone, but that's not the same chemical. I don't know what's in fentanyl, but whatever's in it's fucking nasty, man.
But what's it like being a homeless fentanyl addict?
Well, it's pretty easy, to be honest with you. I mean, because it basically just masks everything. It just shuts everything down. You don't have a care in the fucking world. You don't care about your appearance. You don't care about hygiene. It's really just, it just destroys you, man. And now looking back in hindsight, and I mean, I've only been clean a couple of months, so, God willing that I keep it going. I'm too afraid to relapse because it's a powerful substance. But I just, every day I just tell myself that I don't want to live like this anymore. And it's not because, I mean, a lot of people think that, drugs have a lot to do with your upbringing, which I do think. But it masks a lot of stuff. And my childhood wasn't perfect, but it wasn't horrible. I had some hardships, but I used it because I like to get high, and but when you're on it, like you don't have a care in the world, and I think that's why it's so so popular. I mean, it just feels like the hand of God just came down and massaged your brain, and you don't care about nothing, and it feels good.
No depression, no anxiety, no nothing.
Nothing.
It all goes away.
Just like a warm blanket over you.
Yeah, I've heard it described that exact way.
Yeah, it's comforting.
Many of the heroin.
But once you've reached that, that's the most powerful shit on the fucking drug train of opiates. And once you've got to that, there's really nothing above it. And
did you start with heroin?
I started with, actually what happened was...
or you were doing heroin before fentanyl?
Yeah, I started off with painkillers. I wrecked a motorcycle and I fucked up, I broke a couple of bones. And I was growing up in South Florida where there's pill mills on every corner like liquor stores. And so you could just go in and get an MRI and you could stub your toe and they would fucking prescribe you Oxycontin, It was so easy to get drugs. And they started me off with Percocets, and Percocets is kind of like it's not so much a downer. I mean, it kind of speeds you up a little bit. And so I got physically hooked to prescription drugs, and then once the prescriptions ran out, you'd get sick and you'd have to buy them off of the street, and that would get so expensive because you'd get from taking 1 or 2 Percocets to taking 30 or 40 throughout the day, And then I graduated from Percocets to oxycodone, from oxycodone to heroin, because heroin was cheap and easy to get. And then from there, that's when fentanyl made its big impact, and you didn't have to shoot it because I couldn't shoot up anymore. It was a pain in the ass. You could just smoke it and you were instantly well. You were instantly high. And most people graduate to it. Like the people that you hear, all these horror stories, people dying and stuff, is people that aren't used to it, and they're even putting it in the meth. They got it in the meth. They have it in everything because they're trying to physically addict you to it, and it's working. But I finally got a chance by getting arrested to go to jail and have some time off. I had exactly 3 months off, and so the physical withdrawals were gone, and it was still a mental thing. But like I'm too scared to try it. Like I haven't been on it.
Your body's kind of.
And I don't trust being around anybody because people are so scared to, if somebody overdoses, people are scared to call the ambulance because they're afraid to get in trouble. But a lot of people don't know that there's the Good Samaritan law. And I want to make awareness to that. Like if you're with somebody and they overdose, you can call 911, and when they come out to that call, they're only going to deal with the overdose. You're saving a life. It doesn't matter what you have on you. And I've been in that situation a couple of times. I've actually been thanked by a police officer for actually not being afraid to call, and saving a life. And that was with my own girlfriend. But there's not enough awareness of what's going on with it, man. It's a dangerous, potent fucking drug, man. And it's, I'm too scared to go back, man.
Because your body is no longer.
Yeah, I don't have that tolerance anymore.
Right.
It goes away quick. And so I don't trust, there isn't anybody I trust being around doing it because that's it. I don't want to die. Right now, like I'm clean. I mean, I want to live. I have there's things I want to do.
How old are you?
I'm 44. 44. Sometimes I sit back and think, man, am I maybe too old? But nah, man, it's never too late, man.
Nope.
Never too old. And I have dreams. I have things I want to do. I want to take over the world overnight, but I gotta, I gotta slow it down. But I'm capable of big things, man. And I have big dreams. If just people would believe in me, if I would believe in me, I could accomplish those dreams, man.
What kind of things would you want to do?
Well, I want to do something. I don't want to be in the matrix and working a 9 to 5 and being somebody, being somebody's employee and being told what to do. Like I like doing stuff like I do with you, like bringing guests or finding people. And
you brought me a lot of great people.
People don't think that's work, but it actually is work.
No, very few people. People try to bring me people all the time, and they bring what I call warm bodies.
Yeah,
people that are willing to do something for a little bit of money.
I'm on house.
You were one of the few who brought me great people.
And I enjoy it because I get to meet interesting people, and I'm not afraid to come up and spark a conversation. And I could tell, sometimes I could tell just by talking to them, like where their mindset is at, and like if they would, if they're good, I like getting into weird conversations and like not talking about your typical, topics. I like talking about atoms and dreams and hadron colliders and particle accelerators and cool shit and but a lot of people I start talking like that, they're like, oh my God, this guy's crazy, and I lose them, So I have to find, I say a lot of homeless people are diamonds in the rough. Because I've met so many brilliant minds, so many brilliant people that are homeless that just they've fallen off somewhere, and everybody has a story, and some people, if they had somebody to believe in them and to give them opportunities, like I've met some fantastic artists, people who can sing, just people who are just very talented, and they just get passed up because of either physical appearance or because of stigma of being high or stigma of being homeless. And but there's so many diamonds in the rough, and I'm one of them, man. If you could ever shine a shit, I'd shine.
Well, I think a self-destructive trait appears in people from all walks of life.
Right.
Rich, poor, white, black, everything.
Right.
And it really is just it's luck of the draw sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, out here, LA actually condones a lot of homelessness and a lot of drug use. And because there's a lot of money in it. I mean, like, there's billions of dollars have been donated for homelessness. The Department of Mental Health, the jails, everybody's making money on it, you know?
What was it like being in jail?
Boring. It's not that interesting.
You were in Twin Towers?
Yeah, I was in the Twin Towers.
LA County Jail?
LA County Jail. I was there for 3 months.
And what was that for?
Well, it's kind of funny. All right, I get high, but I'm not a criminal, man. I'm a dope fiend, and like, I'm not a thief. I have morals, and like, I try to earn my money. I don't like to steal or take or harm people because
Yeah, you're not a hustler.
Yeah, I just try to, you know, make enough to get my fix and do my thing. But I happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time, and there was a lot of chaos going on, and I was in fear. So I took off running from a negative. There were some gang members that were chasing me, and I didn't have too many options of where I could go. So I detoured through somebody's house, which you can't do, which was so stupid because I could have got myself killed for that. But at that moment in time, I was in fight or flight, and I wasn't thinking that I was harming them, or that I was, you know, I was thinking that I was just trying to find safety. And I didn't steal anything. I went through the front and out the back, you know. And then when I knew the cops were there, I went back, and I was actually happy to see the cops. I wasn't thinking I just, you know, burglary, all I was just thinking, oh, all right, my options were get shot or go to jail. And I would have rather gone to jail. And so I was happy to see them at the time. And I don't know what happened. They sent me in LA County Jail. There's different ways. You have the general population, the main men's jail, or you have the towers, which basically it's all, you're not property of the sheriff's office, you're property of the Department of Health, or Department of Mental Health, and you're being housed by the sheriffs there. So I'm actually dealing with a lot of Department of Mental Health, and they're doing like a diversion for me, so I don't, because if I was to get convicted of residential burglary, that's what they consider, it's not a violent crime, but it's a serious crime, which is a strikeable offense, which you don't want. And like, I have a clean record. I have a couple of possessions and shit like that, but so they have what's called a mental health diversion, and they had me go to mental health court, and they diagnosed me with schizophrenia, which I kind of like. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but
you never seem schizophrenic.
But I see, this is a complicated subject for me, because where I take it to another level, where I think that, you know, schizophrenia is where you're paranoid schizophrenic and you're hearing voices, and you're, you know, these voices are telling you to do things. But with me, I think on a totally different level. I'm thinking like, okay, like it's some type of conspiracy. But like if you think about it, and it kind of makes sense if you understand like physics a little bit, like we're walking antennas, okay? We're balls of energy that are vibrating at different frequencies at all time, right? And we have brain waves. And now, if the intelligence people communicate a certain way, they'd be communicating on a frequency, right? So what if somebody who maybe has certain chemicals in them that would make them vibrate at a certain frequency could pick up on intelligence? Now, they wouldn't want to say, oh, okay, well, this guy knows what we're talking about. They're just going to say, oh, he's crazy. You know, who's going to ask any questions? Because there's experiences and things that have happened to me that sound crazy, but to me, they were real. And like, I'm not saying that I'm not a doctor, but I've been on medication, and there's still these same things that I'm not too sure about. Because like, all right, like I've heard certain things, like I was telling you earlier, I got hit in the head a few years back with a 2x4. and it ruptured my eardrum. And so I can't hear out of it. I can't hear normal things out of it. But like right now, like I can hear, you know, and sometimes I can hear like chatter, like if you were listening to a radio station that wasn't getting a good reception, you know, you can hear like, and then you can hear people talking, but like it's just gibberish, you know, just like it's a radio station that's fuzzy. And I think it's because I don't know exactly. I haven't talked to a doctor, but I'd love to find out what's going on with it. But it seems like I can pick up certain pitches with maybe the frequency of that I'm hearing out of. I don't know if it's high pitch, low pitch, but I'm not hearing like full on conversations to me. I'm just hearing like fuzz, you know? And there's been times that, and this is why I say it's kind of funny, because there's been scenarios, okay? And I guess they would call it an episode. But the people that I've heard during my episodes are familiar voices, right? And it's not like, it's hard to explain. It's like, I think it's technology, and they have this application that's called Google Amplify. And it makes you, if you're not aware of what that is, you could think that you're hearing things, because I don't know exactly how it works, but somebody showed me a sample of it, and it sounded like somebody was talking to me, like right there. But I go back to say this, that the voices that I've heard are familiar voices that I listen to, like on the phone. Like I heard Nick deGrasse, who's a physicist. Why would he be talking to me? It seems like people are like setting up scenarios to...
Is it Neil deGrasse?
Huh?
Is it Neil deGrasse?
Yeah, that's it. Neil deGrasse, the physicist. And like, cause I those are types of stuff that I watch. I watch motivational shit. I watch stuff I try to not feed myself with garbage. I like to listen to motivational shit and shit that's like physicist shit, cool shit, you know, just cool, interesting shit that most people don't, you know, talk about on a regular basis. Things that are interesting. But I've been in situations to where that I've been affiliated with certain people, and I think that people might have think that I play a different part than I really do, because what I look like isn't really what I'm about. And being on the streets and being in certain neighborhoods and hanging around certain people, they tend to categorize you, right? And so they think they know what's going on. When I say they, I say whoever the law enforcement or whoever's in charge of whatever intelligence there is. And I believe that there's a lot of intelligence stuff that's going on, and they use a lot of it with homeless people because we're expendable, if this makes sense. And basically, if you are receiving government funding, or you're receiving government help, basically you're owned by the government. And what's better to test certain things on than homeless people, right? What are they going to say? Who's going to say anything to them? You know, and I know this sounds crazy, but it's and that's where I get stuck with this. I mean, and I say all the time, there's a thin line between crazy and genius, and I'm definitely not a genius, but I am an intelligent person, I know, and I think outside the box. But a lot of things that only I can say that I experienced, and to people looking in, they're probably going to be like, this dude's just fucking, he's a nut. But my experiences are real, and I'd like to talk to some people that have brilliant minds that could actually, you know, maybe tell me what's going on with myself. And I think it's a conspiracy theory, but I hope I'm not sounding retarded. I'm just, I'm keeping it real, man.
Everyone's got their ideas and what's going on.
But other than that, man, I'm back on track, man. I'm clean.
Does life feel better?
Yeah, I feel fucking great, man. I feel great. I've been exercising a little bit, staying off drugs, drinking water, eating. I put on a little bit of weight, and I'm just trying to change. They say there's one thing that you need to change when you want to get clean, and that's everything. You need to change everything. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to hang around people I want to be like. I don't want to hang around with people that are doing things that aren't going anywhere. Like I have things that I want to do, and I have cool ideas, and like my track record shows like when I'm on point, I'm on point, and I'm not a dummy by any means. And everything that I've ever put my mind to, I've actually accomplished, but I've always self-destructed, you know? But anytime I've been given an opportunity and I've run with it, I've done big things with it, man. But it's hard finding the right opportunities, you know? And like, I don't want to be just doing 9 to 5 stuff, man. I want to do bigger things, you know? I don't know. I don't know, whatever opportunities come that are cool. I don't want to do your conventional 9 to 5 every day job.
Mm-hmm. What I suspect, back to the drug thing, is I don't think the drug addiction thing, I don't think these stories are about drug addiction. I think it's about having that self-destructive streak.
Yeah.
That's what it all, I mean, the drugs are just a symptom of that.
Yeah. I mean,
and the self-destructive streak can come from child abuse, it can come from your genetics.
I take full responsibility, man. I'm not a victim of anything, man. Everything that I've done, I've done willingly. I've done it to myself. I don't blame anybody, you know? I'm my own man, I'm my own person, I make my own choices. And I've made some stupid choices. And the only thing you can do is learn from them, you know? And that's what I'm trying to do, man. Every day is another day, and I'm trying to stay positive and do cool things and try to find the right crowd of people that want to see me do well and that want to help me and not hurt me, you know? It's hard to find real people. It's hard to find true friends and true people that have your best interest, you know, in hand. Because out on the streets here, a lot of people are they just use you for whatever they can, and there's no real friends out here. I haven't made any real friends. Like when I was in jail, I was by myself. When I got out of jail, I'm by myself. I'm by myself. All I have is me, you know? I have a girlfriend of 8 years, but she wasn't concerned when I was in jail. She wasn't looking for me.
She's still using?
Yeah. She didn't even check the jails or the hospitals. Like, that would have been the first thing I've done if I lost contact with her within a couple of days. You know? I would have been worried as a motherfucker. But when I got out of jail, she was just like, oh. I called her grandfather. I didn't even call her directly. I called her grandfather and told him that I was okay and gave him my number, and if she wanted to call me, she could call me, you know. But I'm just trying to have healthy relationships, and our relationship started off healthy, but it just, towards the end, it just, you know, and I do have unconditional love for her no matter what she does or whatever. I'm always gonna have love for her, because I don't know, that's what unconditional love is.
Excellent. Billy, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Yeah, you got it. I hope it didn't sound too crazy.
No, I wish you lots of luck now that you're out. Stay away from these streets. Thanks, man.
Thanks.